Cześć, witam. W ręce trzymam książkę Mózg konia, mózg człowieka, ale nie o książce dzisiaj, tylko właśnie o autorce Janet Jones. Macie okazję spotkać się dzisiaj z Janet Jones podczas wywiadu, który Magda nagrała w Karpaczu, w Western City, podczas pobytu Janet w Polsce. Myślę, że jest to nie lada gratka. Dowiecie się paru szczegółów, poznacie autorkę. Między innymi można dowiedzieć się, co to znaczy takie pojęcie jak pathological calm. Zapraszam do oglądania. Myślę, że jeden z bardziej wartościowych materiałów, który nam się udało zmontować. Pozdrawiam.
Miło mi bardzo, ponieważ Janet znalazła czas i tutaj ma czas, żeby z nami porozmawiać. Janet, once again, thank you very much that you found time and you found time to speak to us, because I know it's a busy weekend for you. And yeah, the first question I must ask you. Sorry, the first question. What do you think about the horsemanship here in Poland? Mm-hmm. Do you see any differences between the horsemanship you are practicing in USA and the horsemanship what we are leading here?
I see some subtle differences, but Poland has a very long history of horsemanship, and people in the United States who know about that respect it very much. So I am not only teaching while I'm here, but I'm also learning while I'm here, and I've been impressed to see some of the training that is going on in the colt training events, and I'm especially appreciative of Poland's decision to alter the colt starting training in this way so that people are not rushing horses into being saddled or bridled or ridden, but that the training is being evaluated in a more qualitative way to see what these trainers can do with these horses without pushing them.
Without pushing, but we have here right now a competition that lasts only for 3 days.
Yes, but there's no requirement at the end that these horses have to be ridden or have to be saddled or have to be bridled. It's just a matter of seeing what has the trainer been able to teach these horses in 3 days.
The next question I would like to ask again is, do you think any horse discipline, sport horse discipline, needs the highest level of communication?
Yes, I think every sport horse discipline needs the highest level of communication, and I think not only the disciplines, but also some of the work that veterinarians and farriers do with horses, even barn staff who are working around horses need to be able to understand how horses behave and why they behave that way, and need to know how to communicate with them, and perhaps most important, how to listen to what the horse is saying to us.
You made a lot of research, experimental research, and I am wondering, was there any situation that was really extraordinary and made an unexpected impression on you? Between the horse and human, maybe owner and their horse, that something was really unexpected for you?
There have been many of those kinds of things that were unexpected. One thing I discovered is that as I began to teach people to really understand how their horses think and how their horses perceive them and perceive the whole world around them, this experience allowed the horse and the human to communicate more clearly, and as that happened, over a period of years, it became clear that the horses were trusting the humans a lot more, and the humans were trusting the horses more. And one surprising thing was that I noticed that the horses began to ask for more leadership from people. So when a horse would get into a difficult situation or a nervous situation, I would see them literally look to their people and basically ask for help.
Yeah, okay, that was fine. Now I have now a funny question, because
Okay.
you are telling every time that the difference between human and horse is that they see the world, they experience the world by different perception, by horses by smell and we by our eyes by viewing. If you had the chance to choose how you recognize the world, how you explore the world, what would you choose?
Well, I have a human predator brain, so I would have to choose vision. First of all, my brain would not give me that choice. And the really important thing to remember is that the horse's prey brain will not give him the choice either. So we each have to work with the brains that evolution has given to us.
That's why I told you it's a funny question. If you had the chance, I know we will not have
right,
the chance,
right.
but to choose. I have one question from our friend Hania. She wrote your book twice, and now she's also here. And she asked me, Magda, can you please ask Janet about the pathological calm? Because you are telling that to build a good relationship between human and horse, we need to find our pathological calm. But how? How can we find it in our inner inside?
Pathological calm is something that I use with horses that are in emergency situations or horses that are very nervous. And it's a technique of creating a level of calmness that is very unusual for human beings to produce. And that's why I call it pathological, in kind of a humorous way, that it's so calm that it's almost pathological. And the way that we develop that is first, I think, by adopting the understanding that horses require a level of calm that is much, much calmer than humans require. And so to do that, I teach people to speak in a very low pitch and to speak at a very slow pace. So when a horse is in an emergency situation and perhaps is injured or trapped in something, the typical horse wants to panic in that situation. So I actually have people role model this experience, and I teach them how to speak to the horse by saying, it's all right.
Calm with our moves.
Whoa, take it easy. And this, you can visibly see a horse calm its body and relax its muscles when you speak to it in that way. And then there are other things like that that go along with pathological calm, but it starts with the voice. Okay.
I wanted to ask you also one question about the book, because you are distinguished horses into two sorts of personalities in your book, right?
I believe
A dreamer
horses has, well, there is a chapter that talks about that in terms of attention, but in general, I think that we have horses have very unique personalities. Every single horse is different.
Yeah, but in the book you're writing about a horse, a dreamer horse, and a vicious one. And we are wondering, vicious one?
No, maybe nervous?
Nervous one, yeah, because, and we are thinking that there are many more personalities.
Yes, there are.
And you're in your book only talking about two, right?
No, That's not correct.
That's not correct.
There is one chapter in my book on attention, and in that chapter I talk about a general category of horses that tend to be very nervous, and they have to have their attention brought down to a focus. And then I talk about another general category of horses that have that are kind of more lazy, and those have to have their attention brought up. So it's just two general categories, but the book, throughout the book, it talks about the fact that horses are very unique. Each one has a really different personality from the next.
You are also convinced 100% that to find the best bond between human and horse is to focus on how the brain works. And the work should be brain-based horsemanship. But I was wondering, what do you think about the energy? If we could shut out the thinking and just concentrate on energy?
Well, I'm sure there are some people who would say that that might be the way to better horsemanship, but I don't believe that. I truly believe that an understanding of how the horse's brain works and an understanding of how human brains work is really critical for that communication between the horse and the human. And the reason for that is that we have two completely different types of brains. So horses and humans are the only two species that work together very strongly that have a prey brain and a predator brain. People who work with dogs and cats, for example, those are all predator brains. Those are all very similar forms of brains. But the prey brain is extremely different from the predator brain. So it's important for us to understand that about horses and to get some idea of how their brains work.
But also to enjoy the energy between horse and human is also very important, don't you think?
Oh, I do think so, and I enjoy that energy every day. I mean, I love working with horses just for the sheer pleasure and joy of being around them, of being around the animal.
The last question I would like to ask you. Are you going to publish a next book? And if yes, would it be a continuation of this kind of theme, or would it be completely different?
I will be publishing more books, and I know that the next one will be a continuation of this sort of theme that has to do with horses and the relationship between horses and humans. I also have ideas for books on other topics, but those are going to come later in my career. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate that you found time.
You're very welcome.
Tell something to our followers, something from yourself.
The one thing I would say to your followers is just that horses are fascinating animals, and when you learn something about the way that they experience the world, you realize just how generous they are in trying to cooperate with humans and trying to understand what we want them to do. Thank you so much for the invitation today.
Thank you. Dziękujemy bardzo, Pani Janet. Mam nadzieję, że się podobało. Pozdrawiamy. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I appreciate it. I hope you got everything that you need.
I guess so.